It's podcast time. Come on, grab your friends. We're going to a very special land with Devar the Brit and Madhog the Tired. The fun will never end. It's podcast time.
Yay! Podcast time!
Alternatively,
Yeah.
hey, I'm tired, I'm not so tired, and we are two tired guys.
Well, yeah. Everyone's tired as of late.
I am so tired, both figuratively and literally. We started recording this much later than usual, so it's what, 3 in the morning? I don't know.
I mean, 3:30 on your end, 2:30 for me. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. Everything's fine.
Everything is decisively not fine, but we're going to pretend it is for both of our psychological and emotional sakes.
Right. Let me try and survive all this onslaught that is suddenly just chucked on my lap for no reason.
I see the Explodey Boys decided to go for Pink Thursday.
Yes. What else would they go for?
Or maybe it's a Violet Monday. They're wearing purple t-shirts, is what I'm trying to convey.
Yeah, they're going for the purple day.
Princess Purplina, the purple the first. I'm so sleepy. Right, so this will either be our best or worst material, depending on factors.
Yes.
Yes.
Factors I would hope would be good. Oh! Ho! 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 Hello there!
So, we spent all of our energy in the venting episode last November, that is. In said episode, I prophesized that all of the things we discussed back then would still be very much relevant, even up until January, at the very least. And I was right about it, in the worst possible way. I was right.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about
Any of
what
that.
happened January the 6th.
Like I
Mostly
said.
because everything that could be said has already been said by people more informed than we are, people who lived through it, people who do this for a living.
Yeah, who have to deal with it.
Also that, I decided that since we had the heavy, politically focused episode last time, we would take all the media discussions that we did not have back then, and we would have them all in this episode. This is the more light-hearted episode, because sometimes we need a bit of a distraction amidst all the nihilistic tendencies.
Yeah. We just do the best we can with what we have, essentially.
Right, so light-hearted episode it is. And I'm
Take
going to-
one!
Take one, exactly, because I have a feeling that with the very specific kind of medium, with the very specific kind of media I will bring up in this podcast, that's not going to be very light-hearted in nature, but we'll bridge that cross once we burn it. I mean, words, meanings, bridge, cross. You know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Don't judge me. Shut up, Mom. Go away. This is my podcast. Okay, so media. Let's talk about things we watched or perused or played and everything in between. Davar, you go first.
Okay, so lately I've been playing I played 2 games recently. One of them.
Let me guess. Tex Murphy games.
Yes, I played the latest one, which was released in 2014. The other one
Yes,
was...
yes, Davar. I read your tweets.
Yes, and I read your tweets as well.
Okay, so you know what's coming then.
Yeah, a bit, but I will not spoil it for anyone who doesn't read your tweets.
They are missing out. My tweets are my best writing in years, I have to say.
So
take that for what you will.
So yeah, the other game I was playing was Day of the Tentacle Remastered, but we won't be going over that because, well, you know, we covered that one a long time ago.
Yes, we did a full Let's Play of Dot Remastered.
I will say, though, that I did play Day of the Tentacle Remastered with the commentary on, and I was left wanting more, because I didn't feel like I got enough commentary. So
what, in between our commentaries and the commentary of the makers of the game?
Yeah, the makers of the game. I was hoping for a bit more insight into what was going through their thought processes when they were making the game and all that. Oh, hello. Oh no. Maybe we should not be here. Ow. Okay, so yeah, we won't be going over that. I just wanted to at least mention that, you know, that there was director's commentary. I was hoping for a bit more. I didn't get that bit more. But it's still a fine, you know, remaster all around. From my favourite point-and-click adventure game, that is.
Yes.
But as for...
I am still holding my breath to one day see the remastered Sam and Max hit the road.
Yeah, I was
with
thinking
director's commentary. That would be neat, as the cool kids say in 1993.
Yeah, I was thinking about that actually, when I was like thinking, geez, I bet you Madhog would certainly love Sam and Max to be remastered.
Yes, speaking of Sam and Max, this actually is very helpful for us to seg into a bit of a minor topic of discussion that I have fumbled upon about a month ago.
Yeah.
So this will bring you back in years, the late 90s at the very least, but do you remember the International House of Mojo?
Why does that sound so oddly familiar to me?
It was that popular online fanzine or fan website dedicated on LucasArts adventure games that has existed since the late 90s, as far as I can remember. Also, the title is a Monkey Island reference. So that's why it might sound familiar. Anyway, so these people, they have published an interesting article, or rather, they have written an article and made it publicly available in PDF format. And it explains, well, to put it bluntly, it's an autopsy about the failed, cancelled project of the Sam & Max freelance police game that LucasArts so unceremoniously killed, signaling to all fans everywhere the death of the graphic adventure game. And also signaling at the same time their commitment, the LucasArts commitment to become an exclusive Star Wars game developer.
Okay, Cannonball. I don't think we've ever had this weapon before.
This is the first time we see the cannonball in this game, I believe.
Yes, so, I'll grab it after I grab this health. And... Yep, grab it right now. Whoa.
The cannonball is powerful, but also pretty inconvenient, considering how it works.
Yeah. It's, Oh dear.
And
Ran out of bullets.
it's a good thing that 90% of these enemies are incapable of strafing.
Apparently me as well.
So, as I was saying, they posted this PDF, which is a free publication, that essentially explains how that game and all of that history came to an end. It has 90%, most percent to do with Lucasfilm Games and then LucasArts, later renamed, shifting their attention from making original content, original creations, to
bugger.
become a studio solely focused on developing Star Wars games, which are the most commercially viable games that they could have produced. It's the umpteenth story of capitalism winning over creativity.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting read. I did not read everything. I was planning to do it before this podcast, but lo and behold, I did not. Regardless, it's there for public perusing, and you just have to find it. The International House of Mojo has made it publicly available, and you can read it. Did I mention I'm sleepy?
Yeah, I know.
So you referencing Day of the Tentacle made me think about Sam and Max, which also made me think about how sad I felt. Where were you in 2004 when Sam and Max Freelance Police was cancelled? Where were you when your childhood died? Okay, well, then 2 years later, Telltale brought back Sam and Max in episodic format, and the rest, as they say, it's history. At least we've gotten 3 seasons out of it. So I cannot really complain in that regard, but I will vehemently complain about the fact that A, we are getting a new Sam and Max game soon enough, and B, it's a virtual game.
Virtual games.
So you would have to own a VR set in order to play this game, which is expensive.
Yeah, and it's not...
Also, the VR set, as far as personal experience goes, does not agree with my eyes, with the way my eyes work. So I'm never playing this game. I guess I'll just watch some Twitch streamer play it and experience it vicariously. Whoop-de-freaking do. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I hate those when they just make it exclusive to a gaming platform that I cannot experience it on just because of, well...
Yes, either because of commercial reasons or medical reasons. VR is not exactly accessible to a whole lot of people. And it will probably never be, for aforementioned reasons.
I mean, there was a lot of other virtual stuff that basically didn't really catch on as much as people would have liked to.
It's because I have a condition of the cornea.
Oh yeah, you do.
Which is overly developed in one eye, and on top of that I have astigmatism, which is mostly affecting the other eye. So I have a specific custom designed semi-rigid contact lens for the bad eye that's again designed to halt the advancement of the deformity.
Right.
And for the other eye, I have glasses. So, the way my eyes are structured, which it's a very unique situation. I don't think I could find any other people in the world who has this very specific set of circumstances in regards to my own personal field of vision. I cannot really get a lot out of VR because of that.
Yeah. I can understand that. Okay, let me just save here because there's health here and it's most likely rigged to
explode!
Yes. So
with enemies.
Oh, will you look at that?
Well, I certainly did not see that coming. I expected skelly bones.
Yeah. So yeah, speaking of 90s adventure games.
Yes, we were talking about the Tex Murphy adventures.
Yes, Tex Murphy's adventure game series. I was
Yes.
playing the latest one, which was released in 2014.
Yes, a glorious return of the full motion video games played by real actors.
Yeah. It's quite weird, honestly. Especially seeing something that feels like it came from a time capsule of the 90s, but with polish from the 2000s.
There has been a very, very, very brief, as in blink and you'll miss it, resurgence in FMV games on Steam.
Oh yeah,
in between 2014 and the next couple of years. Contradiction comes to mind.
Yeah, I did note that as well. I mean, several other games also try to employ mixing the two, like as a television show.
The problem with FMV games is essentially the same problem that subgenre had in the 90s, in that it's not really commercially viable in the long run because of all the money you'll be spending in actors and set pieces, blue screens, green screens, purple screens, yellow screens, whatever screens.
Screens
for days. So, yes, essentially it was a very small bubble destined to burst from day one. Phantasmagoria by Roberta Williams was notoriously expensive, a gamble in its own right. It was successful that time, but all it would take is one commercial failure to destroy the entire economy, because again, those games were very expensive to make back in the day, and they are expensive to make nowadays for indie companies.
Yeah,
for indie developers.
Tex Murphy has a very weird history because it started back in 1983, not 83, 89.
Oh, I thought the first game was Ripper, featuring Christopher Walken.
Well, yeah, I'm just talking about Tex Murphy's history because they evolved to that full motion video style of gameplay later. They started off with this overly complicated, ambitious title that, which was called Mean Streets. And it was like you were flying around in your flying futuristic car in the year 2043. And
of course.
And you were going from location to location, going to different areas, and you would have to archaically search areas just to solve a case. As a detective or private investigator, as the game would call him, Tex Murphy.
Yes.
Who I should probably mention even before the full motion video fad kicked in for the series. He was depicted on the game box art by Chris Jones. He's a big name as far as Tex Murphy series goes because he has a huge passion boner for the series, essentially.
A passion boner. Okay, you sounded almost wholesome for a second, but then you had to add the boner to it, and now you ruined it.
I thought it'd be funny, honestly.
Yes, yes, fun in a very ew kind of way. Just the perfect contrasting reactions.
Oh, let's see. Is this going to be the end of this level already?
That's very short.
No, it can't be because there's a bag there. Oh god, what are you actually going to be depicting here?
Oh, it's a very large arena, I noticed. That's no good.
I don't like this.
I bet there is a puzzle involved.
Right,
Right, so Tex Murphy.
Yeah, Tex Murphy. So, and then by the second game, which was Martian Memorandum,
that sounds oddly familiar.
basically they decided to go at that point to go with a typical point-and-click adventure game.
It was the style at the time.
Yeah, which was the style at the time. Oh, what's this? Wait, 3 more to go? Oh no. Okay, so, and after that one, the third game of the series basically started the full motion video thing.
Is it time for the Reaper? Which you are not supposed to fear? Don't fear the Reaper, maybe? Don't fear the Reaper!
Tex Murphy is not involved with the Ripper series, I don't think. There was only 3 games titled under the Tex Murphy IP. They were Pandora Directive. Let's see, what was the other one? Overseer, which was the last one they did before Tesla Effect came along. And the third one is... It came after... I'm trying to think what it was titled now.
Are you sure Reaper wasn't one of the Tex Murphy games?
It was not, no. So
I thought it was. Wasn't there a Tex Murphy in it? A private detective in the future?
There was
investigating a string of murders? And then it turns out to be Inception before Inception?
No, that's not Tex Murphy. That was its own separate thing.
I could have sworn it was a Tex Murphy game.
It was not.
Because the premise is so similar!
I mean, the premise is similar, but the quirky part of Tex Murphy games is it takes place in, like I said, 2043. World War III.
I thought that was the future too.
World War III happened, and the world is become a radiated world, and you have mutants and norms.
Wait, seriously? You have mutants and normies?
Yeah.
So what, half the world became furries? And the rest are just normies?
I wouldn't call it furries. I'd probably call it more like mutated humans.
Mutant body slam rampage, or whatever the title of that game was.
Ah, damn it. Okay, so yeah. And one of the big things about it is that despite its dystopian setting, it seems to play it off as more a light-hearted joke, rather. Like the backdrop's serious, but the everything else is wacky. It's completely quirky.
Tongue-in-cheek,
I would say
casual commentary, satire.
I would say that, yeah. The plots are usually completely out there as far as, reasonings for villains doing the crimes, how complicated the crimes are, how stupid Tex Murphy can be with his clumsiness.
Are you sure Reaper is not a Tex Murphy game?
It is not.
Because I'm convinced it is. I live now in a world, a reality, in which Reaper is a Tex Murphy game. I will not be deterred in my conviction that Reaper is not a Tex Murphy game. There's Christopher Walken in it, who says, "This guy is unbelievable. And there is this doofus detective investigating the string of murders, and there are wacky characters all over the place, and the song Don't Fear the Reaper plays, even though it's R-I-P-P-E-R and not R-E-A-P-E-R, which is the Reaper of the song.
Yeah.
It makes no sense as a musical choice.
Fudge. Really? Oh.
And you are telling me that the game Reaper, which is a real game from the mid-90s,
Yes.
is not a Tex Murphy game.
No, because you know why? Because Tex Murphy, the main character in all these games, talks like he's from the 1940s noir detective sort of era.
Again, that doesn't really convince me. You are not doing a good job in changing my mind and opinion, my good sir. Your debate skills are lacking, let me tell you. Now, let's say, for the sake of argument, that Reaper is not a Tex Murphy game. Now, what would stop me from considering it a Tex Murphy game? If you don't bring me good evidence that it is not.
Well, for one thing, it's not made by the same people.
So what? There are many Star Wars games, not all made by LucasArts. Watch me as I destroy this nerd live with my debates and logic and facts and whatnot. Facts don't care about your feelings.
I get the strange feeling you're being a bit sarcastic with me right now.
No, I'm being 100%. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that I'm being sarcastic right now. That I'm doing a bad Ben Shapiro impression for comedy. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that we were having a podcast and now it has devolved into this complete nonsense.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong, it is nonsense.
Right, okay, let's go back on topic. Tex Murphy, please, drive me home.
Drive you home from Tex Murphy's house?
You know what I mean. I'm tired.
Yeah,
cut me some cheese. I mean some slack.
Okay, so the only reason you'd probably be wanting to play Tesla Effect, an FMV game, in 2021 would be to probably for the quirky characters, you know, Chris Jones playing a drunk Indiana Jones / Deckard from Blade Runner, as reviewers at the time of the 90s would call Tex Murphy. Certainly not the gameplay, that's for sure. Because the puzzles in this particular one I'm playing right now are either one of two camps. Insultingly simple, or devious that makes you feel stupid for ever playing a puzzle game in your life.
Oh, it's just like Reaper then. Are you sure it's not a Tex Murphy game?
I am sure.
I'm going to look it up right now. And just to put this doubt and debate and the nonsense to bed once and for all, because I am a man of science. I mean science.
That makes total sense.
Yes, that makes total sense. Reaper game. Let's see. A video game, 1996, PC, MS, DOS. DOS. Let's see. Developer Take-Two Interactive.
Bugger.
Tech.
Where did that come from?
No, there is no bugger mentioned here in the credits. I'm sorry.
I just need to... need to avoid you as well as...
Let's see. Okay, so it is set in New York in the year of 2040, so we are there. 1 point in my favor. Let's see.
Hey, can I ask you one question then? Does
Yes.
it take place in San Francisco?
No, it's New York.
Aha!
as I
Then it's
said.
not Tex Murphy.
Okay, so the main character's name. It is an investigative reporter by the name of...
Dick Cheese.
You know what? This is stupid, so let's change argument. Never speak about this ever again.
Yeah, I see how it is now.
Yeah, okay, you know what? It's not important. Let's not do this. And let's say that, for the sake of argument, we were both right, we were both wrong, and nobody was wrong or right, and everybody was
Kung Fu fighting.
Kung Fu fighting, yes, that too. There is never any need to bring this up ever again. Let's just agree to disagree and move on with our lives. I will not apologize to the Tex Murphy community.
I mean,
This is sure a podcast we are recording.
yeah, this is definitely a podcast. We are definitely recording. I'm pretty sure.
Right, so these games, do you like them? Do you dislike them? Do you both-sided them?
I'm pretty mixed because I like the quirky characters and nature of the world of Tex Murphy, but the puzzles. The puzzles, man.
Okay, in all seriousness, can you blame me for thinking that Ripper was part of the Tex Murphy series?
No,
It's
because,
basically the same game.
I mean, it sounds similar-ish.
It's pretty similar in both its wackiness and its insane puzzle designs.
So yeah, it's pretty much one of those situations where I need to reference this at least because I was basically had my face filled with dread when I was presented a puzzle that required me to use maths.
Oh no! Math-based puzzles along with slide puzzles are my nemesis.
Including logic puzzles in general, because I think that's...
Yes, you know what? If I ever were to design a adventure game, I would not have logic puzzles anywhere in it. Just a good old-fashioned inventory puzzle. Just use all your items on that one thing up until it works, damn it! That's what adventure games are supposed to be. We used to have values. We used to know what adventure games were before such and so ruined them. Carry on.
So yeah, I'm trying to think now because the nature of the math in question was there was a triangle of baseball cards. You
Is
had
it a
to...
lob triangle?
It might as well be. So basically you had a triangle of baseball cards you had to put in place with different numbers on, but get this, they all have to equal 17. And I was there for probably 2 hours trying to figure it out.
I would have just Googled the solution, man, at that point.
No, it was a sense of pride.
Man.
I had to figure it out. I was almost close several times. You wouldn't believe it.
I have long since outlived the necessity to prove to myself that I can play adventure games without looking up the walkthroughs. There is no reason to do that. Nobody really cares. Nobody will be impressed in your ability to solve slide puzzles.
So yeah, Tex Murphy Tesla effect. It feels like a time capsule from the 90s that has been polished. And if you're into your quirky FMV games...
Not particularly, no.
Then I can't think of anything, much worse to waste your time with than a Tex Murphy adventure game.
What possessed you? to play Tex Murphy games, I would like to ask?
I watched a Let's Play many years ago, actually, of it from.
Was it Ripper?
No, it was. It was actually the Tex Murphy's. I believe it was Pandora Directive, and I remember it was so funny. I thought, and so weird and silly, and I loved the character of Tex Murphy. That it's like I had to see how did it translate to modern day of the time, and it must have done quite well because now there's going to be a 7th game in the series called The Poisoned Pawn.
It seems to me that this Tex
Murphy.
Avery. I was about to say Tex Avery. I was about to say Tex Avery. I knew I was going to say Tex Avery at some point by mistake. This Tex Murphy fellow and his wacky adventures in cyberpunk dystopia would be better served as a TV series rather than a video game.
You'd think so, yeah.
That way you don't have to engage with hideous puzzle mechanics and designs. You just sit and watch the cutscenes.
Yeah, and then watch as Tex Murphy takes off his coat twice in a single scene from choosing two different dialogue options.
Remember in the original Phantasmagoria when they were so proud of what they accomplished, they had unnecessarily long sequences of characters just performing mundane actions just to showcase, yes, with this technology, we can showcase real life actors doing extremely banal things to fill out the length of this game. Isn't that impressive? You almost don't notice the blue screen at all.
Actually, I should probably note one extra detail. This Tesla Effect game has obviously been made for the fans in mind because there are several items and...
Who else is going to play this game in 2014, let alone 2021, if not a hardcore fan?
But yeah, I was about to say that the reason I say this is because there's several items and things you can look at in the game, and they basically, no joke, they showed you the original game the said item or thing comes from, or has text remembering something from those past games. Even the original Mean Streets with him in pixelated form basically shooting bad guys in a row, even though he doesn't do that now.
This reminds me of that recurring gag about the non-existent 4th game in the Leisure Suit Larry series that gets always referenced in Leisure Suit Larry games, both the good and the bad ones. So yes, I definitely know how inside jokes work, and definitely I know their appeal, but again, clearly Tex Murphy doesn't need to attract a new audience to continue its existence.
Yeah. There was one item that basically made me laugh a lot because essentially there's this water cooler an empty water cooler with a head inside, and then Tex Murphy remembers how he found this dead mutant's head inside his water cooler in his office, and as he basically reminisces about how this situation came about, he's basically saying how the police, as soon as they figured out the person in the water cooler was a mutant, they basically decided to ignore it, as he's trying to get the head out of the water cooler by shaking it like as if he's trying to get ketchup out of a jar.
Well, Tex Murphy was right about one thing. Police should be abolished because they are useless at best. Anyway,
so I'm trying to
light-hearted episode.
Yes, light-hearted episode, which we're doing.
Light-hearted episode, damn it!
So, yeah. So that's a thing that I've been playing and enjoying.
Yes, and yet I see no love whatsoever for Ripper, the black sheep of the Tex Murphy series.
It is not part of the Tex Murphys.
Okay, you have just proven my point. It's the black sheep of the Tex Murphy series. The rest of the family doesn't like to talk about him, doesn't like to acknowledge him, is never invited to Thanksgiving, or whatever equivalent of that you have in cyberpunk dystopia. Is never invited there, and they don't exchange gifts on Christmas, and every time somebody mentions him, oh, the air in the room just vanishes. He's such a disappointment. But
Yeah.
Uncle Christopher seems to like him, though. Right, so is that the end of the Tex Murphy discourse?
Yes, it's the end of the Tex Murphy discourse. If you really
The
want
Tex
to be...
Murphy discourse. I have never thought I'd see the day to be involved in the Tex Murphy discourse. I cannot be the only one who thought that Ripper was part of the Tex Murphy series. I refuse to believe that.
Only if you're uninformed.
Well, I mean, that's all it takes, really, to believe in literally anything. Oh my gosh!
Cannonball! Cannonball! Cannonball!
Completely out of nowhere. It just appeared out of thin air.
Oh, game suddenly decided... Yeah, I'm just going to ignore everything else and just cannonball the frick out of this thing. Oh, and... Okay, I defeated the big guy. How about the little ones?
Save.
No, I cannot right now because there's too much...
Quick save.
Too much on screen. I need to... Stop hitting me!
They're going to kill you. Maybe don't walk right into the fireball.
Maybe...
Have you thought about not walking into the fireball?
Have you ever thought about shutting up?
No, that has never crossed my mind. I don't know why you would think I would ever want to shut up. Especially in a podcast. Right.
Come on, I've got this.
Okay. It would seem you do. That was a surprise. I forgot about the magma giant.
Is it God?
Is it Magmanamus? You know, from Monkey? Which was in Dexter's laboratory? Oh gosh.
Yep, it's just a large golem of lava.
Right. I have a couple of recommendations in my bag of recommendations. One is a simple, straightforward recommendation that anybody can enjoy. The other, it's a bit tricky to talk about. Okay, first of all, I fumbled upon a couple of independently produced animated music videos.
Yeah.
Made by a Japanese artist by the name of Kung Fu Piggy. That's their handle on Twitter.
Okay, I actually made it through that.
And I cannot actually give much information to the background of this artist, or indeed the band that has commissioned these animated musical videos, on the basis that they're Japanese, and every bit of information about them is written in Japanese.
Yeah.
So there is only so much I can glean from this. But the band in question, or maybe it's just one artist, either way, they go by the name of Zutomayo.
Zutomayo.
The two music videos in question, those I remember, Darken and Study Me. One is a post-apocalyptic fantasy science fictional story in which an android maid takes care of a baby demon girl.
Oh, I've seen that music video.
It's pretty good, isn't it? Well animated. This is all independently animated, by the way, and it's very impressive because of that. It's extremely charming. It has a stylistic quality to it that it's very distinct. You cannot confuse it for any other style, and that is the best kind of personal style any artist can have. The other music video I would wholeheartedly recommend, which perhaps I liked even more than Darken, is Study Me, in which a fictional character, a fictional side character, a background character essentially, in any form of fiction and media whatsoever, suddenly gains sentience and self-awareness and tries to escape from the endless cycle of repeated actions
I think I've seen
from
that one
God,
too.
who has also a remote control. And it's very intense, that one too. I liked it as well. These are all from the same YouTube channel.
Is it the one with
this
with all the
artist.
computer screens and the hands?
Yes. Yes. Yes, it is the one with the cat girl with the toast in her mouth running, which is supposed to be the protagonist, but we're not focusing on her. We're focusing on the background character, which is the real protagonist. Yes, it's that one. And yes, they are both from the same artist, which, again, I remind you, they go by Kung Fu Piggy on Twitter, and you can follow them on Twitter. It's really, all of their posts are in Japanese, so I cannot understand anything that's going on. I cannot even glean on the backstory of these productions and whatnot. But on their own, they are really, really good, well-animated music videos, and I completely recommend them for your personal fruition. They are 4 minutes long videos, so they will not take much of your time and life. Now, what will take a lot out of you, not just in terms of time spent watching it, but also on a more existential level, what's going to take a lot more out of you is this anime I have been religiously watching as of late.
Yeah,
And
I know what's coming.
and extensively tweet about it.
Yes, and
You
and
might
cry.
I am yet to run out of things to say about it. I'm still thinking about it 24/7. It has really taken a hold of me. I am fully invested in this. I really, really like it. It's RE0, the name of the show, which is on paper RE0. Full title is RE starting life in another world from zero, hence RE0. On the outset, this seems like a dime in a dozen isekai anime. You know the isekai genre. Isekai literally means another world. It's essentially that very specific subgenre of fantasy in which some guy from our world ends up in a fantasy, vaguely video gamey world, and he gets to be the protagonist there. There have been so many outings in this genre ever since Sword Art Online made it popular as a light novel entry. So, because there have been so many light novels about the isekai setting, there have been countless anime adaptations of isekai as well, because light novels are some, if not the most popular medium to be adapted into anime nowadays. light novels are huge in Japan.
Yeah.
So, because isekai is huge with light novels and light novel authors, then anime is huge with isekai. The bubble in that regard is yet to burst. It has been going on much longer than the Moe bubble, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Which is a bubble that has never really burst so much as it has experienced a small deflation, but never really stopped going. Anyway, let's take the bubble discourse and put it aside for a moment.
Okay.
I am hesitant, reticent in not just recommending RE0, but also in properly talking about it. To properly get the girth and the scope of it all, of this series, in order to do it justice, it would have to be discussed in its own podcast environment, such as Dramatis Sermo. If you ask me, it needs to have its own lengthy analysis, discussion, review, theory, philology, everything in between. It's one of those shows that don't seem much if you don't know what to expect of them, but they will surprise you and mortify you in many ways. Personally, I think it's really good show, a shockingly mature show at that. And that's part of the surprise. But it is also that kind of experience that might seem a bit too much. A bit extra, shall we say, in certain departments. And it doesn't really justify its approach to storytelling and theming up until way into the second season, which is currently ongoing. But when it does so, it retroactively recontextualizes everything that has been said and done up until to that point, and makes the entire show so thematically all and cohesive that I would almost be tempted to call it a masterpiece. Notice my hesitation?
Yeah, because there's still some hesitation to say that. Well,
the hesitation is because, again, I cannot recommend it for everybody. It's not something that I could lightly suggest it away. It might legitimately trigger some people. The actual, factual, real definition of triggering.
Yeah.
Especially if you, like the main character, has gone through some sort of trauma. Okay, so let me try to describe in a concise but informative manner what RE0 is about before we call it a night, because I think this will take the rest of this podcast.
Yeah.
RE0 is, as we established, an isekai anime in name only, in that there is a main character who gets whisked away into a fantasy world, and for a hot minute there, he thinks, oh wow, this is going to be such a cool power fantasy for me. And then it isn't.
Yeah.
And it continued not to be one for several episodes. The shtick with this particular isekai, it's that it's Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
There is a time loop shtick to it. And in fairness, it doesn't just repeat the same day over and over again. No, there are several arcs taking place over the course of days or weeks in which the same circumstances and events get repeated up until the main character has to figure out a way to solve them in order to move forward. Superficially, that seems to be the hook of the show. But that's not what really keeps you invested in it. That's not the strong suit of the show. RE0,
Yeah.
let's put it this way. RE0 is a show about depression. It's about struggling with depression, self-loathing, crippling self-doubt, anxiety, equating your worth as a human being to your value onto others, while at the same time not realizing that others care about you, and this contributes to your sense of isolation and self-loathing. But it is also about struggling to survive depression and the trauma that comes with it. It is also a show about trying to overcome yourself and trying to accept that the love that others have for you is real, and that your value as a person is not determined by how much you can sacrifice for others. And both the setting of the isekai and the Groundhog Day mechanics are used perfectly to allegorically represent the various vicious cycles, mental gymnastics, harm and self-harm that a person with depression, namely the main character, goes through over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I did not even mention the best part of this.
Yeah.
What resets the time loop is not the end of a day or a set number of days. What resets the time loop is the main character dying. And every time he dies, it is the most gruesome, viscerally unpleasant experience possibly ever shown in an anime of this ilk. And the trauma of death stays with him. And the trauma of seeing the people he cares about dying as well stay with him. And every time an arc is resolved, he seems to be getting a little better because he finds the motivation to go on, but he somehow learns the wrong lessons. And then he falls back into a cycle of despair and depression when a new crisis arises, and he subconsciously blames himself for things that are outside of his control. And he further and further falls into that isolation. The fact that he's unable to actually tell people of what's going on with him, with the time loop, the curse that he has, is in itself a metaphor for that kind of isolation. I believe people who struggle with depression feel when they try and fail to communicate what they're going through to others, and they feel that others do not understand them, do not appreciate that others in their life are worried about them, but they cannot relate to what he's going through, and that might cause him to lash out at some point, to alienate the loved ones. And every single thing that I am vaguely yet oddly specifically describing to you right now, all of it is presented and represented in this show. It's an absolutely intense, watch that doesn't coddle the issue even a little bit. There is this back and forth between him seeming sympathetic to the audience because of what he's going through that cannot properly be related to words, both literally and figuratively. But there is also a fundamental understanding that a lot of his issues are the product of his own ever consumed mind, and his eventual martyr syndrome, the fact that he convinces himself that his death is the only value he brings to the world, is also a form of selfishness. So he has to learn to love himself before he can claim to love others.
Yeah.
RE0, like I said, it is the most viscerally brutal yet refreshingly earnest show about depression, in my opinion. Honestly, I am not an expert. I can only project some of my own personal issues with the protagonist and what he's going through. And I think, for me, this show really, really worked its magic. I think it's a really mature show. At the end of the day, a very mature show about love and friendship, because that's the end goal. To learn to love yourself and be happy that you have friends that love you. And then you go from there. The healing process begins. And the reason why it is so hard to recommend is because the first season of the show, it's all of the pain and the suffering imaginable, with some catharsis in it. But it isn't up until we get to the second season, or as I like to call it, the Subaru goes to magical therapy season, also known as Neon Genesis Evangelion wishes it was RE0, the series. It isn't until we get to season 2 that the subtext gets brought up to the text, and you realize what everything was about in the first place. This is all about struggling to overcome your own crippling flaws. And it's refreshingly earnest about it, as I said already. And best of all, unlike Neon Genesis Evangelion, since I bothered to bring it up, and also it is referenced a couple of times in this show as well, not a coincidence at all, this show puts actual real work into its themes and its theming. It is not simply content in telling you, the audience, learn to love yourself. It is showing the painful, long process that it takes a person to actually get to the approximate vicinity of starting to love themselves, of starting to heal. That's merely the beginning. Now there is literally everything else. There is a plot going on. There are other characters outside of yourself that have their own issues, and you can use your own experience to help them with their own problems. And they will help you in return, because they are your friends and they are your support group. And this is the show in a nutshell. This is RE0, a psychotherapy session presented as a fantasy show. It's good, it's great, but it might be a bit excessive at times. And that's why I say proceed with caution if you are interested. I don't know if knowing anything about this show before watching it would have made me like it more, but I think I would have loved to know beforehand what exactly was going to happen in it. before I was surprised in the least pleasant way possible. But yes, it's really good, and you should watch it. And then you will cry in your pillow for a week. I'm going to tell you this. This is how much I like this show. There are 2 romantic options available for the main character.
Yeah.
And I love and support them both. And you know me, I mostly never care about romance in fiction. But this is well done. This is all about a group of people that are going through some stuff.
Yep.
And they manage to lift each other up. Help each other out with their own issues. Becoming stronger together. And I don't know about the original author and the original light novel. I have not read them. But as far as this anime is concerned, it is clear, judging by the production value, overall, the quality of it, the intensity of the performances in it. My gosh, the performances. I can tell that everybody in this cast and crew, they set out to make not just a good isekai show, not just a passable series, dime in a dozen. No, they set out to make a capital A anime, to make the anime to end all anime, and I respect the dedication and passion in that sense. This is one of those special projects. And to further illustrate how much I have invested in this emotionally, there is a new game based on this series coming out this month. It's coming out parallel to newer episodes of Season 2, by the way. And I'm going to buy it.
Wow.
I am going to buy this game. Some sort of tactical game in the vague proximity of Sakura Wars.
Right.
But I'm just going to take a leap of faith. There is the original author that was consulted for it. I'm just going to take a leap of faith because it seems to have the same cast of voice talents and definitely the same character designer of the anime. This is one of those shows that are inevitably divisive on the premise that it's a bit too intense for some people, and it was almost too much for me. So that's the most warning I can realistically give to anybody.
Yeah,
Right.
I knew that much at least about RE0 that basically...
Well, I didn't! Okay, imagine this. I am watching a new isekai show. I know nothing about it. The only thing I know is that it has a feminine boy in it named Ferris, cute cat boy, and all that. That's all I know about it. And then I watch it. The murders happened.
Yep.
And then the time loop happens. And then Elsa happens. Oh god, Elsa. Okay.
So maybe we should call it a night here, you think?
Oh, yes, definitely. I think we
Because-
said everything that needed to be spouted.
Yeah, about RE0 at least. It's just also, yeah, this level is taking long and I can't be bothered with it anymore.
Yes. So, RE0. Again, the second season is happening. The second half of Season 2 specifically is happening right now. But until then, there is quite a lot of episodes to binge. There is quite a lot to watch. Oh, and also there are a couple of OVAs that I would utterly recommend because they are also very good. Very good. Everything about this is very good. Well, maybe not the chibi parody. You don't need that. But everything else is quite worth your time. Again, if you have the stomach or the psychology for it. And once again, I remind you, this is an intense, brutal, visceral show about struggling with depression. Depending on who you are and what your personal issues might be, this show might not be for you. It might be legitimately unpleasant or triggering, if you will. And again, when I say triggering, I mean in the real meaning of the word.
Yeah.
Okay, and with that said, oh wow, this was supposed to be the light-hearted episode, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
I still ended up talking about
Something
depression. Something very serious. Hey,
I mean,
it's on brand, serious podcast, right?
Yeah, it's a serious podcast. I talked about a serious nuclear fallout style game, and you talk about depression.
There is nothing serious or nuclear about Tex Murphy, but
I mean, the dystopian future might be considered one.
yes, what's nuclear supposed to be? Is it like radical or tubular? Because that's what it sounds to me when you say it.
Well,
and yet, Reaper is not a Tex Murphy game.
Nope, it's not.
Let's say, for the sake of argument,
No!
that you might... Good night, everybody.
Take care.
This has been... Oh, by the way, this has been Madhog, thy master.
And I've been Devarkron.
Yes, and we might actually remember to introduce ourselves the next time we do one of these podcasting doohickeys.
Well,
or not.
Well, we are tired. Then RE0 came in and changes the tempo.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, and by the way,
yeah,
I recommend listening to the opening title song for the first half of season 2, because that song, as the kids say, slaps. Yes, absolutely slaps. So thanks for joining us, everybody. We will be seeing you next time, hopefully.
Yeah, whenever
Maybe.
we do this again.
This should be titled the Whenever We Feel Like It podcast.
Yeah.
Really, because that's the real nature of it.
Yeah. Yeah, good night, everybody. Take care.
Yes. Don't fear the Reaper. On Twitter, have you figured out where to find the page that lists all the people you're following on Twitter? Because I haven't.
Only if you click on your followers. As a, like the number.
Where is it? I could not find it.
If you go onto your home, like your home account, and you under the place you live and such in your bio, there's following and followers, and you can click on them.
Oh my god. It was here all along. And I never noticed. Well, okay. I want to cry now. I'm going to cry now.
What happened?
Because I never noticed it was there. So it was small. Why would I ever look at my own bio? It was so easy to find with the old display. But then they had to go and change it. I hated it ever since.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how are you feeling?
I'm so fine. Completely fine, guys.